There are decisions that change the course of everything, but none is as powerful as the one that turns your feet toward God. It's like crossing an invisible line. Once you step over it, there's no turning back. Something inside the soul shifts. What once was noise turns into silence, and what was empty begins to fill. God doesn't enter someone's life to renovate. He comes in to transform. And the most curious part is that sometimes the person doesn't even realize it has already begun. Have you ever noticed how the life of someone who truly surrenders their heart to God is never the same again? It's like their eyes see differently, like their ears become more sensitive to the invisible. The way they speak changes. The way they choose changes. Peace starts living in places where anxiety used to reign. It's a quiet transformation, but no one can ignore it. God doesn't just visit, He takes over. And that changes everything. Now, what if this discomfort you've been feeling lately is actually the beginning of what God wants to do in you? What if this restlessness is heaven calling you closer? Because when purpose begins to whisper, ignoring it only delays the inevitable. The truth is, God has already started something in you, and resisting it will only stretch out the process. But this is just the beginning, because what comes next will show you why this decision never leaves anyone the same. Walking with God has nothing to do with memorizing Bible verses or showing up at a church pew every Sunday. It goes much deeper than that. It's when someone finally lets go of control, stops trying to steer their own story, and says, "God, do it your way." That's when invisible chains start to break. Fear, pride, trauma, addictions, masks. It's not a ritual, it's a surrender. And that surrender changes absolutely everything. Paul was religious, Zacchaeus was a thief, Mary Magdalene carried a heavy past. Yet all of them experienced a turning point when they encountered Jesus. They weren't just improved, they were remade. Paul went from persecutor to apostle. Zacchaeus, from exploiter to generous giver. Mary, from accused to liberator. God doesn't come to put spiritual makeup on anyone. He tears down the old and builds something completely new, not even reusing the rubble. He doesn't improve people. He transforms. He makes all things new. And when that transformation begins, it doesn't ask for permission. It invades the soul, shifts your plans, flips your priorities, and leads you down paths that once felt impossible. But there's a secret in this journey that few truly understand. The more you release control, the freer you become. And it's in that freedom that the next key is revealed, because after surrender comes the call to live in a new rhythm. And that's when everything truly starts to fall into place. The transformation God brings doesn't start with your hair or your vocabulary. It starts in your heart. He goes straight to the root, that old wound you've learned to hide behind a smile. He deals with what no one else sees. The pride that holds you back, the fear that paralyzes you, the thoughts that sabotage your faith. That's why truly walking with God shakes your foundations. Because He doesn't teach you how to look better. He rebuilds you from the inside out, where no one else can see. Here's a truth most people don't have the courage to say: change hurts. Growth scratches the ego. And being born again means the old version of you has to die first, with all its habits, certainties, and self-defenses. It's not comfortable, but it's freeing. God isn't interested in reforming your behavior. He wants to shape your character, renew your thoughts, and heal the deepest, quietest traumas. Walking with God doesn't mean changing your clothes. It means changing your identity. It's like a seed breaking underground. No one sees it, but that's where real life begins. When God starts transforming you, He doesn't ask questions. He performs surgery. And the more you allow Him to work within, the more your life starts to reflect what truly matters on the outside. But it doesn't stop there, because after your identity is changed, comes the invitation to learn how to live like someone who has been remade. When God enters, He doesn't knock just to visit. He comes to stay. And like a good father, He doesn't get comfortable with emotional messes hidden in the corners. He walks through room by room, opening drawers you'd long forgotten. Sometimes, He tears down a wall you thought was essential. Other times, He pulls out that feeling you swept under the rug and swore you'd never touch again. It's not an invasion, it's restoration. That's why, So often, the process feels scary. It feels like everything is spinning out of our control. Plans shift, ties break, emotions get messy. But what if that's not the end, but the beginning of the real work? God doesn't break you down to punish you. He breaks you down to heal you. Anyone who's ever renovated a house knows, before things get better, it always looks like everything's falling apart. And it's the same with the soul. So if today you feel like you're losing control, maybe it's because God is taking the wheel, and He drives down roads we'd never dare to choose on our own. He doesn't just want to change the scenery of your life. He wants to redesign the entire blueprint. And when that starts to happen, you realize you don't need to fight back. You just need to trust. Because the next stage of this process reveals something so powerful, it even shifts the atmosphere around those who choose to truly live. Many people believe they can only come close to God after they've changed. But the order is the opposite. It's by coming close that change begins. Transformation doesn't come from human strength. It comes from walking with Him. God doesn't expect perfection. He expects surrender. It's not about being ready. It's about being willing. The process starts with the simplest step, saying yes, even with fear, doubts, and imperfections still in your pocket. The disciples were the very picture of humanity, impatient, confused, temperamental, and yet they were chosen. Jesus didn't pick scholars, He chose fishermen. He didn't call theologians, He called rough, ordinary men. And it was in the middle of storms, miracles, and even failures that they were shaped. The molding didn't come before the calling. It came during the journey. God transforms while He walks with you, and each step becomes a chapter in your reconstruction. You don't need to know how the story will end. You just need to take the first step. God will handle the rest. And as you walk, He prepares you to carry something greater, something that not only changes you, but also changes the world around you. Because those who walk with God begin to carry something that shifts entire atmospheres. And that silent impact is what leads you straight into what's coming next. When someone truly starts walking with God, there's no need to announce it. The evidence shows up long before the words do. The person still faces battles, but now carries a peace that doesn't depend on what's happening on the outside. Storms still come, but now they remain standing, even when everything falls apart. The eyes change, the words become gentler, and the heart starts beating in rhythm with heaven. It's common to hear, "I barely recognize you anymore." But the right answer is, that's because now it's Christ who shows up first. When the transformation is real, even the expression on the face changes. That person who once lived anxious now inspires calm. The one who used to hide in the crowd now walks with purpose, knowing exactly where they're going. It's purpose pulsing in the chest. It's divine presence shaping gestures, decisions, and even the silences. It's not performance, it's fruit. And even in the stumbles, because they still happen, something has permanently shifted. That person never walks alone again. Their support is no longer just emotional. It has become spiritual. God has become their shelter, their direction, and the strength that lifts them when the ground disappears. And that no one can take away. But when that fruit begins to grow, it naturally draws something greater, the mission, because those who've been transformed are soon called to transform others too. Whoever decides to walk with God is never the same again. That's not a slogan. It's reality for anyone who's already surrendered. When you truly give your life to Him, heaven stops being a distant concept and starts invading every area of your everyday life. You start living with purpose, not just with plans. You realize you weren't made to walk alone or to carry everything on your shoulders. The weight lifts. The soul breathes. Life finds meaning again. Today, God is calling you to take that step. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest. He's not looking for your performance. He wants your whole heart, even if it's broken. And if this word is burning inside you right now, don't ignore that call. Some decisions can't be delayed, because there's a time when God calls, and a time when He begins to move. If this word spoke to you, write in the comments, "I choose to walk with God." Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Remember, life changes when you change direction. And God, is the best path anyone could ever choose. It's on that path where true transformation happens. And this is exactly what we need to talk about with those who have no idea what heaven has already prepared.